Alright, so this story is absolutely goddamn hilarious in my opinion because a lot of Kamala Harris's former campaign staffers are setting off on a new venture, and I'm going to tell you guys exactly what that new venture is. But honestly, this story is just emblematic of why Kamala Harris failed in the 2020 Democratic primary, why she got absolutely clobbered, why I don't think that she's going to be a good politician for 2024 or the future of the Democratic Party, and basically just points to all of the failures that are emblematic within somebody like Kamala Harris and within this entire sort of cancel culture battle that has been going on in the United States over the last number of years. So, first look here from Axios. Harris veterans, Kamala Harris campaign veterans launch a firm to protect CEOs from being canceled. Okay, so let's go ahead and read some of the details on this. So a group of Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign veterans are launching a strategy firm to help CEOs avoid getting canceled and to advise companies on how to respond to changing cultural norms before they're faced with a crisis. So it seems like basically what they're going to be doing is being a PR team, being a group of people that goes in and helps advise them on how to deal with a lot of the backlash that many CEOs and corporations get for lack of diversity and inclusion within the upper levels of their corporations. So just some more details on this. So how it's going to work. So C Street plans to use diverse contacts in the business, legal, and academic and political world to help CEOs and company boards make changes in their corporate culture and hiring practices. And the goal is to help immunize companies and top executives from the threat of cancellation or an employee backlash. So understand, this is not them actually going out and trying to deploy like legitimate policies that are meant to empower black workers or minority workers within these workplaces. Their goal is literally to protect the executives, to protect the CEOs, the board of directors, the company, and their public image from the backlash that would ensue from actual criticisms of their workplace culture. So it's just it's as elitist as you could possibly get in this situation. They're not even really pretending to represent average people in this, but they continue saying the firm will offer advice across 4 different areas: general corporate strategy, diversity, equity and inclusion, talent acquisition, and traditional crisis communications. And Minion Moore, a former political director in President Clinton's White House and one of Harris's closest confidants, is on the board of advisors of this. So just the Democratic establishment who have made their careers throughout a number of these different establishment campaigns are turning around, and this is what they're choosing to prioritize and focus on. Now, they also point out who they're going to be in competition with. So why it matters: C Street is entering an emerging competitive market with financing from Antara Capital, a hedge fund backed by Blackstone. Okay? A sign that big financial firms view the diversity field as a growing industry. So yet again, they are capitalizing on the culture war aspect of diversity and inclusion under a capitalist system, right? This is what they are choosing to focus on instead of, I don't know, some of the statistics that we have had coming out recently here on July 14th of this year. The average CEO made nearly 300 times the median employee pay last year, and that gap is only growing. So, instead of tackling these types of actual substantive issues, the people who are running Kamala's campaign are choosing instead to focus on protecting CEOs from being canceled. Okay, that's where the priority is. And listen, this just gets to the entire idea of why Kamala Harris got absolutely obliterated and clobbered in the Democratic primary. If you remember, she had to drop out before they even got to vote in her own home state because in her own home state of California, she was literally polling in like 4th or 5th place at best. So the entire country didn't really like her. The only reason she's a vice president now is because Joe Biden decided to pick her because that's who a lot of his corporate donors decided would be a good representation for the future of the Democratic Party, or should I say for the future of corporate America within the Democratic Party. So this is who the Democratic establishment thinks is going to be that future bulwark for the Democratic Party. And listen, we've also been seeing polling come out recently that Kamala Harris is even less popular than Joe Biden, which is pretty rare among vice presidents. She is one of the least, if not the single least, popular vice presidential candidate in modern history. So the American people do not like Kamala Harris. And if you remember, during the Democratic primary, she was actually doing pretty well at the beginning, and that was when she was pretending to care about policies like Medicare for all and pretending to be sort of a Bernie Sanders or more in line with the Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warrens within the Democratic primary before she basically hired a new set of people for her campaign who came in and chose her to completely lean into the cultural aspect, completely lean into the fact that she is a woman and the fact that she is African American, and lean into that and make that the central focus of her campaign. If you remember, during the Democratic primary, one of the things that she focused on heavily in the debate was like getting Trump off of Twitter. That was like the main thing that she was taking a big firm stand on, not on education, not on healthcare, not on climate change, none of those actual like important issues, but she was taking a big stand on getting Trump off of Twitter. So listen, you know that the people that she is surrounding herself with, you know that the people that she is choosing to lead and run her campaigns are absolute jokes. And not only are they a complete joke and incompetent at actually winning elections, clearly by her performance in the Democratic primary, but in addition to this, they're doing shit like this. I mean, literally protecting CEOs from being canceled, protecting CEOs from cancel culture. This is the type of person that Kamala Harris decided to run her campaign. So is she going to be a successful bulwark for the Democratic Party leading into the future? I highly doubt it. Okay, the American people have rejected her. They don't like her. She's not very popular, and clearly she doesn't even know how to run an effective campaign or surround herself with people that are anything but complete corporate stooges and hacks and political sellouts. So what could you actually do? What is the actual substantive position in all of this in terms of, you know, equity within the workplace, or deciding or empowering people, working class Americans, to actually decide their own fate, and actually lifting up Black Americans and minority Americans in this country? Well, I'm going to leave it to Fred Hampton, because I think he has one of the classic all-time great quotes on this. He said, "We don't think you fight fire with fire best. We think that you fight fire with water best. We're going to fight racism, not with racism, but we're going to fight it with solidarity. We say we're not going to fight capitalism with Black capitalism. We're going to fight it with socialism." And so this is basically the message that Fred Hampton was putting forward, in line with basically what most good socialists are talking about right now. The way that you empower people, the way that you actually boost diversity and inclusion at an economic level, is with socialism. It is with a policy that implements democracy in the workplace and actually gives working class Americans, working class Black Americans, the ability to have a say in their destiny, to have a say in their workplace, their economic situation that they are living in. As we know, there is a massive Black-white racial wealth gap within the United States. That's partly due to the history of racism within the country, institutionally and otherwise, that has prevented Black people from gaining wealth in this country at the same level as white people. But in addition to that, the entire solution that we are staring at right now, economically, in the face of how capitalism is collapsing around us, Kamala Harris is choosing to go and protect CEOs from cancellation instead of actually empowering and lifting up every American, but specifically minority Americans who have been left behind by this rapacious capitalist system that we are currently living under, and that Kamala Harris actually wants to continue protecting and maintaining. She called herself Top Cop Kamala for a reason, and that is because she, like many other police officers, actually believes in protecting private capital, believes in protecting the interests of the ownership class over the interests of working class Americans and average Americans, specifically Black Americans, who have been brutalized by the police and brutalized by capital and capitalism, the system that we are currently living under, and again, that she would like to protect and see move on into the future. So again, the lesson from this is Kamala Harris is an absolute joke. She doesn't know how to surround herself with people who are anything but corporate stooges. I don't think that she will have a successful political career into the future, and the underlying solution that is actually substantive in addressing the problems that her corporate friends are going to pretend to address with this new company that they have started is socialism. That is the actual strategy that we could be implementing to uplift everyone around the United States.